Most people remember the 1963 classic, The Sword in the Stone, as a whimsical tale of a clumsy wizard and a lucky boy. You remember the catchy songs, the funny animal transformations, and the triumphant moment the sword leaves the anvil. But what if I told you that beneath that colorful animation lies a calculated, chilling narrative of psychological grooming and the systematic theft of a child's soul? What if I told you that Merlin isn't a hero, but a master manipulator preparing a puppet for a life of blood and war? Today, we are opening the forbidden archives to expose the raw, disturbing reality of Arthur's destiny, a reality so dark that it transforms this childhood fantasy into a political nightmare. We are counting down from 10 to the ultimate, bone-chilling truth. Stay with me until the very end, because the number one secret on this list doesn't just change the ending, it ruins the entire concept of the hero's journey. It reveals a truth about power and execution that Disney tried to bury for decades. The light of the churchyard is fading. Let's begin, number 10, the architecture of systemic abuse. Sir Ector's household is not just a strict home. It is a grim depiction of systemic psychological and physical abuse. Arthur is not treated as a ward or a student. He is a subhuman entity, branded with the name Wart, a constant, verbal assault designed to remind him that he is an unwanted growth on the skin of society. Ector and his son, Kay, represent the brutal, unthinking military class that values only physical dominance and status. By raising Arthur in this environment, the film highlights a terrifying truth. The boy was groomed to be a victim long before Merlin arrived. He was already broken by neglect and domestic servitude, making him the perfect empty vessel for a powerful wizard to fill with his own agenda. Arthur's desperate need for approval is not a virtue. It is a symptom of a child who has been denied his basic humanity. Number 9, the tragedy of emotional discarding. One of the most heart-wrenching and truly dark sequences is Arthur's encounter with the young female squirrel. This isn't just a comedic subplot. It is a brutal lesson in emotional narcissism. The squirrel develops a pure, genuine attachment to Arthur, but because Arthur is above her in Merlin's grand design, her heartbreak is treated as a punchline. When Arthur transforms back into a human, the look of utter devastation on her face is a masterpiece of tragedy. Merlin's reaction: he mocks the situation. He is effectively teaching the future king that people and their hearts are merely temporary tools for personal growth. Once the lesson is over, you discard them without a second thought. This lack of empathy is a core trait Merlin is building in his future king, a ruler who sees subjects as objects. Number 8, the trauma of the hunt. The animal transformations are framed as educational lessons, but in reality, they are high-stress survival traumas. Merlin deliberately places a defenseless child into the most lethal environments possible without any real safety net. As a fish, Arthur is hunted by a monstrous, sharp-toothed pike. As a bird, he is nearly torn apart by a hawk. Merlin watches these events with a detached, almost scientific curiosity, often laughing while Arthur screams in genuine, life-altering terror. This is fear-based conditioning. Merlin is desensitizing Arthur to the threat of death, teaching him that the world is a cruel, unforgiving place where only the smart or the powerful deserve to live. By the time Arthur pulls the sword, he isn't a scholar, he's a survivor who has been conditioned to endure violence as a way of life. Number 7, Archimedes, the silent witness to corruption. Archimedes the owl is the only character who truly sees the horror of what is happening. His constant cynicism and grumpiness aren't just for comedy. They represent a deep moral protest. He sees Merlin's games for what they are: dangerous, manipulative, and unethical. He frequently tries to warn Arthur or point out the madness of Merlin's methods, but he is constantly silenced or ignored. Archimedes is the witness to the corruption of Arthur's innocence. He represents the voice of reason in a world dominated by flashy, dangerous power, forced to watch as a child is systematically dismantled and rebuilt into a weapon of the state. His frustration is the audience's frustration, the realization that Arthur's education is actually a demolition. Number 6. The Dark Ages as a moral vacuum. The visual style of the film reflects a world in absolute decay, and this isn't just an artistic choice. This gloom represents a godless and hopeless society where might makes right. There is no joy in the castle of Sir Ector, only the preparation for violence through jousting and combat. By placing Arthur in this environment, the film suggests that he isn't being raised to bring peace. He is being raised to manage the darkness. The stone the sword sits in is a gravestone for the old world, and Arthur is the ghost tasked with haunting the new one. The entire setting is a moral vacuum where a child's innocence is a liability that must be extinguished to ensure the survival of the crown. Number 5. Madame Mim, the mirror of Merlin's ego. Madame Mim is often dismissed as a secondary villain, but she is a vital mirror to Merlin's own character. She represents what happens when magic and power are disconnected from the pretense of goodness. However, during the wizard's duel, we see that Merlin is just as ruthless as she is. The duel is a terrifying display of how the elites view reality as a playground. Mim is chaotic, but Merlin is calculated and superior. Both use their power to dominate others, Merlin winning by turning into an invisible, biological germ is a dark metaphor for insidious warfare. He teaches Arthur that winning is the only moral code that matters, and that the most effective way to destroy an enemy is from the inside out, where they can't even see the attack coming. Number 4. The prophecy as a political trap. The legend of the sword in the stone is framed as a divine prophecy, but it acts as a calculated social trap. It creates a vacuum of power that keeps the kingdom in chaos until the right candidate, the one Merlin has spent years molding, appears. Merlin knows exactly when and how the sword will be pulled. The sword isn't waiting for a hero, it's waiting for a puppet. The Miracle in the Churchyard was a staged, high-visibility political event designed to ensure the masses would accept a nameless, low-born orphan as their supreme ruler without question. They believed it was the will of heaven, but it was the will of a wizard who had been playing the long game for Arthur's entire life. Number 3. The systematic erasure of free will. Merlin possesses the power of precognition. He has already seen the rise and the inevitable, bloody fall of Camelot. He knows that Arthur's life will be filled with war, the betrayal of Lancelot, and a tragic death at the hands of his own son. Yet, knowing all this, he still pushes a young, impressionable child toward that cliff. This is the ultimate destruction of free will. Merlin doesn't want Arthur to have a happy or peaceful life. He wants Arthur to fulfill a specific, doomed political role. By stripping Arthur of his autonomy and forcing him into a destiny he never requested, Merlin destroys the boy's chance at a human existence. He isn't a mentor, he is a director casting a child in a tragedy. Number 2, the ending, a sentence of eternal solitude. The film ends with Arthur on the throne, looking absolutely terrified. This is the most honest and haunting ending in the Disney archives. Arthur realizes in that final moment that he has been trapped. He asks Merlin if he can run away or if they can go back to their old life, but Merlin tells him his story is already written in the history books. Arthur is now a prisoner of his own legend. He has lost his childhood, his freedom, and his very identity. He is no longer a person. He is the king, a hollow title. The tragedy of the film is that the boy who pulled the sword didn't win a kingdom. He lost himself. He is sentenced to a lifetime of heavy crowns and the cold, lonely duty of the state. Number 1. The sword, a symbol of execution. The most shocking and disturbing secret of all is the true nature of the sword itself. In medieval tradition and law, a sword stuck in an anvil or stone is not a symbol of life or leadership. It is the symbol of high justice, which is the sovereign's power to execute. By pulling the sword, Arthur is not saving the people. He is taking up the instrument of the executioner. The divine light that shines on him in the churchyard isn't a blessing. It's the cold gleam of steel that demands blood to maintain order. Arthur hasn't found his purpose. He has been handed a weapon of death. He is forced to become the executioner of his own innocence and the judge of a broken land. The sword in the stone is not a miracle. It is a life sentence of violence. Was the reality of Arthur's destiny darker than you remembered? Did Merlin create a king, or did he destroy a boy? Let us know in the comments. The archives are always open for those who seek the truth. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, some legends are written in ink, but others are written in blood.